It is time to rethink teachers' approaches to the issue of student discipline in our schools and classrooms. It is vital that as educators, we consider and take another look at how we have treated the subject of discipline among us students. Before now, the idea of discipline in many Ghanaian schools is limited rules and regulations that students are supposed to follow, going on with consequences documents when they do not abide by the rules, regulations, and many more cases in our schools. The focus is on what the students shouldn't do and the corresponding punishment if they disobey. Generally, discipline approaches have been very narrow in direction and very punitive. When students hear of the disciplinary committee, the first thing that comes to mind is the teacher who punishes them when they do the wrong. So students have also developed a punitive perception of discipline in so many of our schools. We have left the issue of students' discipline to a few strict teachers who would form a body, and all the time, if there are disciplinary matters, they are the ones that deal with it, and they are the ones that met out punishment. When the student does the punishment or the offense done, we end the story over there, and in so many cases, it usually doesn't mean the students will not go back and repeat the offense or will not even commit a similar one shortly. And so, there is no buy-in from every staff member or member of the school community when it comes to dealing with the issue of students' discipline. It is hardly restorative also because, after the punishment, that is where we end. It so much happens that students keep doing the same offenses in a lot more cases from one punishment to the other, and I think as educators, there is a need for us to rethink and see what we can do differently. I believe that if we focus our attention on just the rules and what the students should not do, we usually will miss out on the most significant opportunity that we have as educators, both in and outside of the classroom, to teach the value of care to our students. Our students are human. We should be deliberate about teaching them how to behave rightly and not expect them to do so because there are rules and regulations that they are supposed to follow. In many more cases, we tell students what they should not do, but who tells them what they should do? If they do not understand the topic in mathematics or physics or chemistry, we take our time to teach them until they get it. Why can't we do the same when we want them to behave in a certain way? Why don't we treat discipline in that regard also? If we want our students to behave in a particular direction that we deem positive, we should be deliberate in teaching them how they should behave and not merely expect them to do so because they have to do so. They need to learn that, and we should be ready to teach them how to behave in teaching students how to behave. It's looking at it from two approaches. The first one is within the small classroom where they first meet you as a teacher. Their first point of call is when you, as an educator, have a set of students to work with for 1 year or a term of 2 years or 3 years. It is crucial that you see yourself as a capable adult within the space leading the students and that you have what it takes to impact even the way they behave. You, as an educator, have that inner authority that you need to build and establish in the classroom through your tone, posture, body language, and how you communicate. To convince the students that you can provide structure to their life within the classroom walls. When students realize that there is an authority in that room, and that authority is ready to provide support in that concern and care for them. Yeah, because we want to look at providing a conducive space for students to learn and learn conveniently. We want to be intentional about establishing agreed expectations with the students in our class, so they know our expectations. That is what we have to do. And it's always better when these expectations solicit students' input. When behavior expectations result from deliberations and discussions between the teacher and the learners, students are responsive since they know why and how they ought to act in the classroom or outside. Suppose that happens in every classroom you go to during the week of the term. In that case, the chances are that they will be able to conform themselves to the agreed expectations set out by the class. And they hold themselves accountable for living according to the behavior standard that they have set for themselves. We must be transparent and consistent with the rules. Whatever we expect from them throughout the term, throughout the academic year, must be clear and re-echoed weekly or daily when we interact with them. When students know teachers are not following through or have relaxed the rules, it becomes an opportunity for them to go back and start to misbehave even within the classroom. We should remind them of the behavior expectations that we have brilliantly set with them throughout the school year. If halfway through the term or after a term we let loose, we forget about them. And so, as educators, we should be ready to have those expectations agreed with them and be clear and consistent and give them constant reminders. To do this, we can tell students that we have held ourselves accountable for this throughout the week and the term. We expected that every member of this class community is adhering to the agreed behaviors. Another thing that we can also do is to have effective routines. If you're meeting with them for an hour, There should be some set of routines that you would do as part of their meeting with you so that we do not leave gaps that would trigger misbehavior in the classroom. So there should be routines that detail how they enter the class, how they sit, and how they exit the class when writing and doing independent work. When doing group work, develop effective routines with the students to stay on task at every point in time. Their behavior in the classroom results from what routines we have set out with them. If we do that effectively, you minimize the gaps that are likely to trigger misbehavior in the classroom. Teachers must understand their role in the classroom because many of the behavioral challenges that happen in the school usually show signs or symptoms even within the classroom. And so, if teachers get it right, it becomes easy when the whole school comes together also to attempt to address the issue of students' discipline. As school leaders, we do not end the fight for student discipline just in the classroom. Thus, there should be deliberate whole-school approaches to ensure that we teach students how to behave. Several schools have different models that they use. The global citizenship approach is where schools have specific slots on the timetable weekly or daily to address particular behavioral challenges. Teachers and support address discipline matters like bullying with students in every classroom during the school day. And usually, this is not left to the classroom practitioner alone. It is something that every member of the school community is involved from the teaching to the non-teaching staff, so that they all understand that trying to teach students how to behave is not just a song that a few teachers sing. It is something that every community member accepts and is ready to teach and help the students develop. And so, we need to design a curriculum of care that teaches students how to behave. Another approach is using the advisor-advisee system, where you have some students assigned to an advisor on campus and meet at a specific time slot during the week. Students meet with their advisors, and they teach them how the observed behavior patterns work. Students learn how to behave appropriately with their advisor's support. They receive clarification with questions that they may have. As educators, we need to show our students that we care for them and are responsible for helping them. And we all should feel responsible for leading and supporting our students. Otherwise, if we leave them to chance, I tell you, the misbehavior issues would be enormous, and we may not be able to handle it. We also don't want to create an only punitive school system, and we are not showing a lot of concern for our students and what they have experienced. So this is when we need to all get involved and help our students. Let's build a good relationship with our students. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you can. When our students feel that we have adults and educators in the school who care about them, they will be ready to listen to us when they see our minds shift from being punitive and always just putting them aside because of their behavior. But instead, we are opening our arms to them. They would be willing to speak to us and share with us their struggles. Then we will be in a better position to support them and help them translate all the misbehavior challenges that they may have into being good members of the school community. The school environment will be full of care for each other, and students will be in a better frame of mind to even attend to their studies. As educators, the clarion call on all of us is to re-look at our school's disciplinary approaches. Adopting a more restorative approach underpinned by the value of care and the value of concern for our students to excel and behave appropriately for the school community as we prepare them to lead in the future. I hope we will have several opportunities to connect and learn more about how we can support our students. Do comment, like, share and recommend our channel to other Ghanaian educators you know. Thank you.